The Ohio Healthy Food Cooperative Incorporated is an Ohio farmers production and marketing cooperative. We can earn billions from biogas, and CAFO dairy farmers will benefit. How can we transform shit into sunshine? The development of concentrated animal feeding operations created the problem of what to do with the concentrated animal manure production. In 1980, the energy sector of the economy was opposed to on-farm energy, and CAFO farmers had no experience or desire to enter the field of marketing. Land-grant colleges concentrated on building small on-farm digesters because they had no practical commercial experience. Working on what the Congressional Office of Technology Assessment set out as cheap, simple, automatic, easily financed digester systems, promoters have lost themselves in trying to sell what was impossible to attain. Big problems require big solutions. The founder of the Ohio Healthy Food Cooperative wrote a book in 2006 titled Sustainable Agriculture Through Animal Waste Management that described the solution to the problems of scale, markets, and alternatives. No single dairy farm can finance the systems and processes required to turn unsustainable disposal by field dumping manure in a false belief that the acres that grew the ensilage could absorb the manure produced on the farm. The critical mass required to support the cost of facilities and marketing requires a cooperative partnering of engineering, management, and marketing skills with producers. Further, it requires the development of a financing plan that can acquire a broad base of investors to provide equity funding. The organization of a business format to accomplish this in today's economic environment must be a farmers cooperative. This format prevents the takeover of a business organization by a handful of financiers or ambitious executives by its very design. Each cooperative member has one vote. No one holds a majority interest. Concentrated animal feeding operations, OHFC biogas facilities, and CAFO farmers. There is no secret formula that will guarantee the success of any business. When a business enlists its suppliers in a broad-based effort to produce large volumes of products that have widespread acceptance because of demand, and it is able to keep its cost of raw materials in balance, that business will succeed beyond the imagination. CAFO farmers know better than anyone that the flow of manure is unstoppable. It is this absolute certainty that drives the need for marketing of the output at the maximum level of sales and promotion. Production without selling results in failure. This issue motivates the need to develop greater production from new additional OHFC biogas facilities to support the huge expense of the advertising and promotional budgets in support of sales. The need for branding the product for worldwide marketing is urgent. The intangible costs of establishing market presence require considerable investment before product begins to flow out of facilities. Who? A group of concentrated animal feeding operators join to pool resources to create feedstock volume that reaches critical mass, large enough to establish economies of scale in association with professional managers, engineers, and marketers to enter national and international markets for the valuable products of biogas production. What? The production of biogas is familiar to all of us whose digestive systems work. Water hydrolyzes nutrients, and bacteria biologically break down protein, carbohydrates, and fats, releasing sugars, minerals, vitamins, and enzymes into our bodies, and discharge waste as solids and liquid and gas. The OHFC biogas plant works at about 95 degrees Fahrenheit with many of the same bacteria to produce a similar result. This is a biological system. Why? Farmers have been misled into believing that the main purpose of anaerobic digestion was to produce biogas for electrical production. Most of the anaerobic digester designs are way too small. Power companies discouraged farm electric power. No one advocated anaerobic digestion for the valuable fertilizer it produces, and just like the municipal sewage treatment plants, there was no use for the liquid effluent, the majority of the output. Why now? We're faced with phosphate pollution as shown by the slide of Lake Erie, indicating the blue-green algae that was formed. Self-regulation is best. The Lake Erie Western Basin blue-green algae was blamed on farm phosphorus runoff. New law was enacted with the Ohio Department of Natural Resources doing the enforcement. The following prohibitions were set. No application within 10 hours of a rain event. No application on frozen or snow-covered ground. Fertilizer must be worked into the soil. No more fertilizer applied than the crop's nutrient uptake. If the Lake Erie Western Basin, who is next? Ohio River and its tributaries. Why wait? There's money to be made with compliance. How? Size. Bigger is really better. Size does make a difference. The Ohio Healthy Food Cooperative has negotiated a package with a European engineering design build contractor for a plant and system that produces 390 tons of processes 390 tons of liquid dairy manure, barn scrapings, and broiler manure each and every day. We get 118 tons per day of 28% solids dry biofertilizer, 19,000 gallons of liquid effluent we call a humate base, and enough electricity and heat for 22 greenhouses, with surplus sold to rural electric co-ops and affiliated rural and urban farmers markets. The OHFC cooperative biogas plant processes 390 tons of raw feedstock to produce 118 tons per day of solids. Biogas production, about 60% methane and 40% carbon dioxide, provides fuel for electrical generation, farm machinery and trucking equipment, and the heating of greenhouses in cold weather. Electricity provides high-pressure sodium vapor and metal halide lighting for extended photosynthesis from about 3 a.m. to 9 a.m. to create an equatorial lighting scenario for growing plants year-round. The surplus is sold to rural electric cooperatives. Carbon dioxide, captured in a receiver out of the diesel-electric generator engine stack, is inserted at ground level into greenhouses, where its volume is sufficient to provide about a 24-inch deep layer feeding plants essential carbon. CO2 is heavier than air. This graphic shows the transformation of formerly squandered animal manure when it is processed in an anaerobic reactor vessel at mesophilic temperature. First, we get biogas producing electricity. Surplus biogas is used to heat greenhouses when needed. It is also a farm machinery fuel. Carbon dioxide from the engine stack and boiler feeds pure CO2 to the greenhouses that are lighted by high-pressure sodium vapor and metal halide lights. The combination of heat, CO2, light, irrigation, and microus growing medium produces great vegetables that sell in stores for as much as $3 a pound as a salad mix. This chart shows the performance details of our biogas facility. Where? In our agricultural region, there are at least 40 dairy farms, 200 broiler operators, and 15 hog operations. By combining the manure output of several of these operations, we build our biogas plant feedstock to 390 tons per day. The OHFC biogas facility will be located on or near a farm central to the aggregated number of CAFO units needed for that volume. The land will be purchased by the cooperative. Preferably, it is on one of the largest farms to reduce haulage. The map of Holmes County shown next indicates some of the locations. We haven't covered all of them on this map of Holmes County. A typical installation drawing shows the final design of 22 greenhouses, 3 biosolids storage and packing structures, and humate inoculate growth lagoons. The washing and pre-ship packaging of vegetables is done in a clear span structure. All rainwater is collected for use in plant irrigation. The space required is about 20 acres. All inputs of manure are allocated to each supplier, who is paid on the basis of the dry weight. When? Why not now? In 1980, 35 years ago, a Congressional Technology Assessment Task Force closed its report saying, "The most important policy for anaerobic digestion is R&D support for the demonstration of a wide range of inexpensive and reliable digester systems and the implementation of attractive financing schemes. Once farmers have been shown that reliable, automatic, and relatively inexpensive digesters are available, the primary obstacle to farmer acceptance will have been removed." What nonsense! For 35 years, no one has addressed the real problem. It is not cost. It is not based on generating electricity and heat from biogas. It is this: the same NPK nutrient that went into the digester came out in the effluent, SiSO. If the nutrients in unprocessed liquid manure were excessive for most field applications, with the then current manure disposal practices, the same facts would be true of the product of anaerobic digestion. No one had a concept of marketing the effluent because no affordable single on-farm anaerobic digester produced enough material to cover the costs of advertising, promoting, and selling it at a profit. 35 years have been wasted. Fortunes have been lost. Water is polluted. Methane and carbon dioxide have gone into the air. When the manure lagoon fills, manure must be removed. 1,500 cows produce about 90 tons per day of 12% solids liquid dairy manure. They never stop. This is exactly the same outcome with an anaerobic digester biogas plant. The daily output of 28% solids is 118 tons. The available liquid is 19,000 gallons per day. If we piled up the dry solids for 3 months, it will occupy a building 1,000 feet long by 100 feet wide and would be piled 20 feet high. 3 months is about the crop growth period when nothing can be disposed of on those fields. The magnitude of this production could be overwhelming to a simple producer. All 100% of production must be sold to make a profit. Everything but the squeal must be harvested with zero waste. Marketing. A cooperative marketing organization must be established to sell the productive capacity profitably. The cooperative must invest in the intangible expense of marketing. What CAFO operator has the spare time to put into the operation of a large-scale plant that requires sophisticated management techniques? A cooperative will. What does it cost? The startup costs of marketing and recruitment are $5 million. The physical assets capital is $16 million. The operating capital is $10 million. The total is $31 million. Crowdfunding is now legal. Our crowdfunding portal is capitalfunderscoop.com. We have formed a cooperative, Ohio Healthy Food Cooperative Incorporated. The OHFC founders will raise the capital, secure the loans, and recruit professional executives and personnel. What is crowdfunding? Crowdfunding is the use of social media to inform potential investors of an opportunity to participate in establishing a new business on the ground floor. This takes the Wall Street brokers out of the process. With a cooperative business model, debenture bonds can be issued. Low denomination bonds are offered to make the investment attractive to a broad base. Large bonds can be offered to institutions and wealthy investors. The icing on the cake for such investors, beyond the interest, is membership. Each member of the cooperative shares in the profits as distributed by the board of directors. This slide shows the classes of investment. Non-membership bonds in denominations of $20, $50, and $100 at 4.5% have a 5-year term and a lump sum redemption at the end of the term. Permanent membership is applied to worker members and CAFO farmers. Their investment is variable. It's 10 years. The bonds are 10 years and pay 6% interest. The next classification is a term of bond membership. 5-year junior memberships are $1,000 bonds at 4.5% with a 5-year term having a lump sum redemption. 10-year junior memberships are $2,000 bonds at 6% with a 10-year term and an annual 10% redemption. The next classification is 15-year memberships. Senior institutional membership bond has a 10-year term, has $25,000 as a minimum bond at 6% interest with 10% annual redemption, granting a 15-year membership. In other words, extending 5 years beyond the end of the 10-year term of the bond. Senior investor membership bond is a 10-year term, minimum $10,000 at 6%, 10% annual redemption, 15-year membership. Our crowdfunding portal is www.capitalfunderscoop.com. From corn to cows to manure to money, together we can make it happen. Who funds cooperative projects? In 1916, our Congress enacted legislation that established a federal farm credit system that included the Bank of Cooperatives, now called the CoBank, with headquarters in Denver, Colorado. The Federal Farm Credit System is a nationwide cooperative system of banks and associations providing credit to farmers, agricultural concerns, and related business. This cooperative system contains the Bank for Cooperatives, now CoBank, Farm Credit Banks, and the Federal Farm Credit Banks Funding Corporation. In January 2006, the U.S. government signed a law stating that every farm credit district must have a bank for cooperatives. Ohio's regional headquarters office is Louisville, Kentucky. Ohio Healthy Food Cooperative Incorporated. Who funds a cooperative? The members, of course. This is how much money is needed to launch a project of this magnitude. Regular banks want a minimum of 25% equity, 4A+ credit ratings, and history. Even today, that might not get a loan. The OHFC biogas project needs $31 million. That requires a broad base of investors. This chart shows the various bonds required for particular sizes of farms. For any farm under 409 up to 499 head, the cost per head is $40. So the total bond value for a farm with 450 head of cattle would be $18,000. That amount of cattle will produce approximately 238 tons of dry weight manure, and at $55 a ton, the farmer is reimbursed $13,090. His current disposal cost, if he's field spreading, at about $100 a cow, is $45,000. When he uses the biogas plant fertilizer and liquid humectant as a soil conditioner, his gain from yields will be $43,730. So he's earning and saving approximately 5 times his investment in the first year. The larger farms have even greater benefits because the cost of pickup reduces the unit cost for the bond to $20 per unit for a $40,000 bond purchase. The previous slide was intended to compare the cost of membership bonds, they also pay 6% interest, against the benefits received for participation. Our estimate is that it requires almost 2.5 acres per 1,400-pound cow to produce ensilage for a year's feeding. We have calculated the lowest cost per cow for manure disposal at about $100. It assumes relatively contiguous fields with no highway hauling. With the application of OHFC macro grow at the rate of 1 gallon per acre, the net income gain for the corn acreage farmed as shown in the right-hand column. It would appear that the cost of permanent membership is well justified. The additional benefits that are conferred by permanent membership are these: elimination of all manure disposal problems, no liability of excess phosphorus or other runoff, access to biogas engine fuel at a discounted rate for tractors and machinery, a discounted rate for electricity sold directly to the capo farmer with transmission costs extra, residential and dairy barn use, a cooperative paid term life insurance policy of $300,000, a disability insurance policy with a $2,000 a week benefit for full disability for 102 weeks. Scholarships available for qualified children of capo farmers. Membership shares of surplus funds as distributed by the board of directors forever. Farm profits are assured, no additional work, and no additional investment beyond the initial membership payment. The operating projections for a 4-year period from actual start of operations, not including the construction period, 8 months, and the business launch, shows the potential for very large net profits. These net after-tax profits are sufficient to build additional new facilities with no borrowing, going from 1 biogas facility at the startup to 84 at the end of 4 years. Ohio Healthy Food Cooperative Reinvestment Policy, our recommended corporate bylaw. The policy of this Ohio Healthy Food Cooperative Incorporated shall be that all surplus funds shall be invested in new biogas facilities for 4 years of full operation. Definition: surplus funds are net profits after deducting the state and federal income taxes due, unused budget funds such as maintenance set-asides, depreciation accounts as charged to fixed expenses, they're non-cash deductions, and any amount deemed by the board of directors to be available for such investment. The Ohio Healthy Food Cooperative, Incorporated, shall provide all administrative services, including custody and control of all accounts, management and technical services, all marketing and sales functions, and shall determine by the majority vote of its board of directors the disposition of all profits, surplus funds, and income. The costs of marketing. The selling of all the products of the OHFC biogas facility requires many different talents and skills coordinated to achieve the desired result of profitable revenues. Advertising and promotion. Buyers must be informed of the products. Farmers for fertilizer and soil amendments. Consumers for home, yard, and garden use. Golf course managers and reclamation contractors, and organic natural food retailers, school boards, and dietitians with diet and health news to inform the general public about non-GMO vegetables. All of this entails newsprint media, TV, social media, and infomercials. To prepare this requires video production, a studio, script writing, and actors. County fairs and home and garden shows, agricultural expositions must be covered. Entry fees, displays, personnel, handouts, brochures, and samples add up the costs. Selling. Each product line with its various end markets requires specifically trained personnel with an ongoing program of intensive training to meet each ensuing year's needs for qualified people. Each salesperson must have transportation, computer equipment, GPS tracking systems for management, and a group of accounting auditors to verify expense reports prior to reimbursement. Each sales division will require a highly competent manager with assistants and a group of product managers as specialists. The African equatorial export market requires all of the above, plus linguists to translate and prepare sales materials, etc. Africa. The market in continental Africa is huge. Petro-based fertilizers are expensive and in short supply, with allocations made a year in advance. Warehouses in Dakar, Senegal, and Conakry, Guinea, will provide a gateway to the ECOWAS countries. Shipment of the products by containers in 1-ton totes on pallets is simple. We have the man. Our VP, Issa Kone, is a Malian with connections. Dairy farmers are among the hardest working Americans and deserve the chance to improve their income by joining in a cooperative with investors, managers, and engineers that will make it happen. Dung to Dollars, our book on this program. If you'll go to www.ohealthyfoodcoop.com, you can download a free PDF copy of this informative book written in plain English.